he is a vulnerable guy, and he is a flawed man, and capable of making mistakes.
Bruce Willis built a career on grit, silence, and one-liners that echoed through decades. From Die Hard to Pulp Fiction, he became a symbol of action hero cool, untouchable, unshakable, unforgettable. But behind the smirk and the squint was a man who didn't always play nice behind the scenes. He clashed with directors, walked off sets, and most surprising of all, he held grudges. Real grudges. While the Hollywood press often brushed aside his feuds as creative disagreements, insiders knew better. There were certain actors Bruce couldn't stand, and as the years passed, that list didn't get shorter, it got bolder. Now, as the industry celebrates his legacy amid heartbreaking news of his retirement due to aphasia, many close to the actor are revealing the names he never dared to say out loud, until now. From egos that rubbed him the wrong way to co-stars who challenged his dominance on set, Bruce Willis wasn't shy about disliking people when he thought they deserved it. Some of these names will surprise you. Others, well, you probably saw it coming. One thing's for sure. Bruce never forgot a betrayal, and he never faked respect where there was none. So buckle up, because these are the 6 actors Bruce Willis reportedly hated the most. And why? Of all the actors and directors Bruce Willis ever worked with, the feud with Kevin Smith remains one of the most bitter and most public. What was meant to be a playful buddy cop comedy in 2010's Cop Out quickly turned into a behind-the-scenes disaster, riddled with tension, silence, and thinly veiled disdain. Smith, known for his candid, often brutally honest interviews and podcasts, didn't hold back when describing his time with Bruce. He called it soul-crushing, miserable, and at one point, even compared directing Willis to trying to coach someone who didn't want to play the game. According to Kevin, Bruce would show up to set disinterested, disengaged, and utterly dismissive, not just of him, but of the entire production. Smith described scenes where Bruce refused to follow direction, mumbled lines with little energy, and created an atmosphere so cold it froze the momentum of the entire crew. And while Smith is no stranger to industry egos, he made it clear, working with Bruce wasn't just hard, it was toxic. But there are always two sides. Insiders from Bruce's camp suggested the actor found Smith's loose directing style grating. Bruce came from a school of professionalism that demanded structure and control, while Smith was often improvisational, casual, and emotionally reactive. To Bruce, Smith's informality read as incompetence. To Smith, Bruce's stoicism came across as arrogance. Their worlds didn't just clash, they collided violently, and once filming wrapped, the animosity only grew louder. Kevin took to podcasts and press circuits, recounting the misery of the shoot with painful clarity. "I love making movies," he said, "but that experience nearly broke me." Bruce, on the other hand, remained characteristically silent. He didn't respond, didn't engage, and didn't defend himself. But that silence, insiders say, wasn't peace, it was fury. He felt betrayed by someone he believed should have handled things privately. And in Bruce's world, respect mattered. A lot. Once it was lost, there was no coming back. Despite attempts from Warner Brothers to cool tensions for promotional purposes, the damage was irreversible. Bruce reportedly vowed never to work with Smith again, and Smith, while sympathetic later during Bruce's health decline, made it clear that their relationship was never repaired. In fact, years after Cop Out, Smith said he still had nightmares about the shoot. What makes this feud especially poignant is that it stemmed from such different visions of filmmaking. Smith, the indie talker who thrives on community and comedy. Willis, the old-school stoic who preferred discipline, minimal takes, and tight control. In another universe, they might have complemented each other, Smith's humor and Bruce's gravitas, but in reality, they exposed each other's flaws. And perhaps, in Kevin Smith, Bruce Willis saw something he despised. A director too casual with the craft he took so seriously. And in Bruce, Kevin likely saw the fading power of a movie star, unwilling to adapt to a changing industry. The clash wasn't just personal, it was generational. Two titans from different schools of Hollywood, meeting at the wrong time, with the wrong project, and all the wrong expectations. What's left is a legacy of resentment, and a reminder that even giants can fall out when they stop listening. In the end, Cop Out wasn't just a movie title. It was the outcome of a collaboration neither man was truly committed to, and both probably regretted. Long before Bruce Willis became the action legend of Die Hard, he was a breakout star on television. Moonlighting made him a household name in the mid-1980s, thanks in part to his undeniable chemistry with co-star Sybil Shepherd. On screen, the banter between David Addison and Matty Hayes was electric, fast, flirtatious, and full of tension. But what most viewers didn't know was that tension didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. Behind the scenes, Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd couldn't stand each other. In fact, several crew members on the show have since confirmed what the tabloids only hinted at. Their feud was real, raw, and relentless. At first it was manageable, two strong personalities trying to lead a hit show. But as Bruce's fame exploded, especially after Die Hard, things began to spiral. Sybil, already an established actress, reportedly felt overshadowed by Bruce's rapid ascent. And Bruce, now being courted by major studios, felt increasingly frustrated with the demanding moonlighting schedule. Their arguments became legendary on set, explosive, icy, and sometimes humiliating. Sybil has since admitted they had their moments, but sources say the resentment ran much deeper. Bruce thought Sybil was controlling and condescending. Sybil thought Bruce was arrogant and immature. The creative process suffered, episodes were delayed, and morale tanked. What made it worse was how well their tension translated into their characters' chemistry. Viewers thought they were watching fictional lovers locked in a classic will-they-won't-they trope, but in truth they were watching real-life resentment disguised as romantic comedy. And the longer it went on, the more unbearable it became. When the series finally ended in 1989, neither of them looked back. They didn't speak for years. Sybil later said she reached out occasionally but never got a response. And Bruce, in his usual stoic fashion, never publicly addressed their feud. But behind the scenes, he reportedly told friends he would never work with her again. To this day, they've never shared a screen again, and they've never publicly reconciled. If you've made it this far, chances are you're as fascinated by the unseen side of Hollywood as we are. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more emotional deep dives into the lives of your favorite stars, and drop a comment below. Were you surprised by Bruce's feud with Sybil Shepherd? Let us know. Back to the story. What makes the Bruce and Sybil feud so impactful isn't just that it was intense, it's that it shaped the rest of Bruce's career. After Moonlighting, he largely avoided long-term television roles and steered clear of co-leads who might challenge him. He became selective, even controlling about his image. The charming, smirking rogue from the small screen had learned a lesson the hard way. Proximity breeds friction. And for Bruce, the idea of sharing creative control with someone like Sybil again was simply out of the question. Their working relationship had started with sparks and ended with scorched earth. No apologies, no reunion, no nostalgic reflection, just silence. And for a man like Bruce Willis, silence always spoke louder than words. For fans of action films, the Expendables franchise was a dream come true, a testosterone-fueled throwback uniting the biggest names in cinematic brawn. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jason Statham, Jet Li, and of course Bruce Willis. But as cameras rolled on the sequels, something shifted. By the time The Expendables 3 was announced, Bruce Willis was suddenly out, and Sylvester Stallone didn't mince words. In a scathing tweet, Stallone wrote, "Greedy and lazy. A sure formula for career failure." No name was mentioned, but everyone knew who he was talking about, Bruce Willis. The fallout was instant. What had started as a collaborative celebration of aging action icons quickly turned into a bitter, very public feud. But what really happened between Stallone and Willis? According to insiders, the tension wasn't new. It had been building from the first film. While Stallone, who directed and starred, ran the production with passion and intensity, Bruce kept things cool, too cool. Crew members reported that Bruce seemed disengaged, often detached from the camaraderie others shared on set. Stallone, who thrives on loyalty and energy, reportedly took offense. The breaking point came during negotiations for The Expendables 3, where Bruce demanded $4 million for 4 days of work, $1 million per day. Stallone, already working with a tight budget and juggling multiple egos, balked. He felt betrayed. To him, this wasn't about money. It was about respect for the project, for the fans, and for the spirit of collaboration. Bruce saw it differently. He believed he was worth it. He wasn't just any actor, he was Bruce Willis. He had nothing to prove and no reason to compromise. The fallout was swift and brutal. Stallone replaced Willis with Harrison Ford, issued his now infamous tweet, and moved on. But the wounds ran deep. While Stallone later softened his tone publicly, saying Bruce was still a great guy, the damage was done. They haven't worked together since. What's more, the feud exposed a side of Bruce that many in the industry whispered about, but rarely confirmed. He didn't care for the political niceties of Hollywood. He wasn't interested in group hugs or backslapping bromance. He came, did his job, and left. And if that rubbed people the wrong way, so be it. But for someone like Stallone, whose career was built on loyalty and underdog grit, Bruce's indifference felt like a slap in the face. Interestingly, this wasn't Bruce's only fallout in the Expendables universe. Others, too, noted that he seemed distant, hard to approach, and fiercely protective of his own image. He didn't want to be just another action star in the lineup. He wanted to remain a legend, untouchable, above the fray. And yet in doing so, he isolated himself. The action hero who once saved hostages in Nakatomi Plaza was now seen by some of his peers as too cool to care. The clash with Stallone wasn't just personal. It symbolized a shift. The brotherhood of brawny movie icons had found its outsider. And that outsider was Bruce Willis. Still, one can't help but wonder if there's regret beneath it all. Stallone extended an olive branch in later interviews, perhaps sensing that time, and illness, changes everything. But Bruce, true to form, never responded. No tweets, no interviews, just silence. And for those who know his story, that silence says it all. While Bruce Willis rarely spoke publicly about his grievances, Hollywood insiders always knew who rubbed him the wrong way. Not every feud exploded into the tabloids. Some stayed behind closed doors, festering in silence, whispered only on sets and at late-night industry dinners. 3 names in particular kept surfacing over the years: Richard Gere, Alec Baldwin, and Damon Wayans. All different personalities, all very different conflicts, but all left an impression on Bruce, and not a good one. The situation with Richard Gere was the most old-school Hollywood kind of beef, one rooted in tension, competition, and ego. Though they never shared a major film together, they crossed paths early in their careers when both were seen as leading men with opposite personas. Gere was polished, romantic, often cast as the sensitive soul. Bruce, by contrast, was the everyman hero, rough around the edges, dripping with sarcasm. Industry chatter suggested Bruce felt Gere was phony, a man too wrapped up in image and less interested in authentic connection. Friends close to Bruce said he found Gere pretentious and overly self-serious, while Bruce's no-nonsense, hard-edged vibe made it easy for him to dismiss people he deemed disingenuous. There was no public altercation, just mutual avoidance. 2 stars who knew they'd never get along. Then came Alec Baldwin. This one was messier. Baldwin, another actor known for his temper and strong opinions, clashed with Bruce on more than one occasion in the 1990s. Though they never co-starred in a major film, they shared industry circles and at times competed for similar roles. Both were alpha males with massive charisma and massive egos. According to several sources, Bruce once called Baldwin a loudmouth, frustrated by Alec's tendency to dominate rooms with political rants and grandstanding. Alec, in turn, was no fan of Bruce's emotional distance. He felt Bruce was dismissive, cold, and unwilling to engage in deeper conversation. Their personalities were oil and water, too strong to share the same space. Over time, their relationship devolved into mutual eye-rolling and avoidance. Bruce wasn't interested in Alec's dramatic intensity, and Alec didn't care for Bruce's brick wall demeanor. But perhaps the most explosive and openly hostile of Bruce's lesser-known feuds was with Damon Wayans. The two starred together in The Last Boy Scout in 1991, and what should have been a gritty buddy cop hit turned into a toxic battlefield behind the scenes. From day one, reports suggested Bruce and Damon had zero chemistry off camera. While their characters sparred in the script, the real-life tension was reportedly unbearable. Damon later publicly called Bruce the biggest jerk I've ever met, a comment that stunned fans and confirmed what many crew members already knew. According to Wayans, Bruce was controlling, rude, and completely dismissive of his co-star's creative input. Bruce, on the other hand, reportedly thought Damon was unprofessional, too wrapped up in comedy to take the film seriously. Their mutual contempt created an atmosphere so toxic that director Tony Scott had to mediate between scenes. After filming wrapped, the two never worked together again. Damon moved on to other projects, and Bruce, true to form, never commented on the feud. Not once. Now, with Bruce's career behind him and his voice growing quieter due to his health, these feuds paint a picture not of a villain, but of a deeply principled man. He didn't fake friendships. He didn't pretend to like people who disrespected him or the craft. Bruce's world was one of discipline, silence, and emotional honesty, even when it came across as cold. He was not a man of diplomacy. He was a man of boundaries. And those 6 actors, Kevin Smith, Sybil Shepherd, Sylvester Stallone, Richard Gere, Alec Baldwin, and Damon Wayans, each, in their own way, crossed a line he never forgot. In the end, Bruce Willis didn't need to shout to be heard. His silence was its own kind of statement, and for those who knew him best, it was the loudest one of all.